Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean,
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
Here, tell us about courage, Phil. Tell us about courage.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb is not here with us today. He's
Wah, wah.
he's being a gimp right now.
It's true.
It's true. No, he had some surgery, and they were going to the surgery was they had to put a bigger brain in so he could become Megamind and
It's true.
go on more rants for us. So
Somehow that affected his ability to walk downstairs. He's got to get
True.
used to lifting that big head. You know, it's like on
that's what it
it's
is.
like on So I Married an Ex-Murder. It's like an orange on a
That's the
toothpick.
It's the size of Sputnik.
He's gonna cry himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow.
I haven't seen that so long, but that's like the only thing I remember from that movie. Anyway, speaking of big heads and lots of things, Microsoft Build.
Yes.
That happened.
They built a giant head on stage using AI, and it was really weird.
Using it. No. So Microsoft, I think they're trying to rebrand AI. When they say it, it's called Copilot.
Yeah.
So they did say AI a lot, though. Probably not as much as Google did.
Yeah.
I mean, but the Copilot is kind of what their Microsoft is going for. So, well, let's talk about it. So that's, AI is the big focus of this year. I mean, for both companies, but for definitely this Build conference, Microsoft, they just had a lot to say for their developers and obviously it's customers that on everything. There is so much in this. And so I'm kind of just going to go from this article. I actually pulled this article up that I think has a good summarization of things. It's on Thurrott.com. Paul Thurrott, thank you for that. If I know you're listening definitely to this, but
That would be cool.
But if you want to check out a little bit more, he can give you, or if you want to see the videos, obviously it's on the Microsoft website. You can take a look. It's got a cool like splash thing that Landon looked at earlier when he was looking. It was like this cool splash thing for Microsoft Build.
It's neat.
But yeah, if you want to take a look. But I'm going to go through and just kind of generally summarize kind of what had happened at the developer conference. Because one, I am not a developer. I understand basic things of development, but some of these things I'm like, yes, it sounds good. This sounds good, but
the developers are cheering for this, so it must be a good thing.
right. So there was more cheering. I would say that because, the past couple of conferences and things, there wasn't much so it's, Anywho, let's get into this. So top of the list here, Azure AI. Basically, they just kind of brought in new capabilities. They said that they're including enhancements to the OpenAI source, which actually is in preview, is what they were talking about. This is basically a new service called Azure AI Content Safety that helps businesses create safer online environments and communities. Sweet. Because something I found out, actually, I thought was interesting. You know how, I think we reported this a while ago, they were talking about how before they launched this, they fired their AI ethics
I remember that.
people. Well, I doing a little bit of listening and digging a little more deeper into it. I guess what had happened is they just changed the department. They said they went to their ethics people and said, "Hey, we need you to. We're changing how this works, but we actually want this to be encoded to other places. So we're getting rid of the department, but you're going to move, get jobs in other places to just put it in the bare code of everything."
Mm.
And apparently there was like 7 people that just decided they didn't want to get another job. So Microsoft's like, okay, we told you we're getting rid of this. So I guess, see ya.
So it's not like Microsoft doesn't care about having
Right.
ethics with AI. These guys just didn't want to do something
Right.
else. I get it. Okay.
I thought that was interesting. So I remember we reported that a while ago,
Yeah.
and then this AI happened, and so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And now, obviously, I think it was Paul. He talked on Windows Weekly about that a little bit, so that's kind of where I dug a little bit more and was like, oh, that's interesting. So, moving on, Microsoft Fabric. They talked about this quite a bit, which is now in preview. It combines capabilities from Power BI, Data Factory, and the next generation of Synapse into a unified software. Cool. I apologize. I'm not giving more information on it. Putting everything together, Microsoft Fabric, that's good.
Yeah.
So, thought that was cool. Next is responsible AI. They said that the Microsoft Designer and Bing Image Creator will soon let customers verify whether an image or video was generated by AI.
That's nice.
Yeah. So they said it should be expected in the coming months, and said it was going to use cryptographic methods to mark and sign AI-generated content with metadata about its origin. So,
very good.
That's good, right?
Yeah, it sounds similar to like what Google is doing with their saying, which is good. We need that. You need to have ways to know for sure whether it's AI generated or real.
Yes, true. They did talk about the semantic kernel. Open source framework for creating AI apps uses state-of-the-art AI models, along with skills, data, and logic to help developers add intelligence to their apps. The semantic kernel SDK. So, cool. More AI capabilities for helping programmers. So, there's also the LLM-powered team bots. Developers can now create custom LLM-powered team bots using Teams Toolkit for Visual Studios. These set of libraries provide a team-centric interface to large language models and user intent engines, which makes it easier to write and maintain custom conversational bot logic that integrates with the LLMs. So I wish I knew a lot what that meant. I really do. But too bad Caleb's not. He's usually better at describing things a little better for me, but he's not here. So I kind of I feel bad, but that's what's happening. Go ahead and moving on. Microsoft Dataverse improvements. They said part of the Power Platform, the Microsoft Dataverse helps customers create turnkey data to app capabilities to scale, and it's being updated with Excel to app. So custom PowerFix plugins, SQL, Power Apps, and IP firewall. So cool. Copilot in Power Pages. Now in preview, Copilot for Power Pages helps users generate text, create complex forums and contextual chatbots, and web page layouts to create and edit images and site design themes using natural language input and intelligent suggestions.
Huh. That's an interesting. So is that like is that like a web design type?
Yeah, they said Microsoft describes it as a digital web copy editor, basically.
That's kind of cool. Wouldn't hate having something like that, as you're building a website, being able to like, hey, by the way, this may or may not work the way you think it will because you did something wrong, or or to give suggestions on how to make things look a little nicer and whatnot. That's kind of cool.
And a little more detail, they say where users simply describe the kind of form they need, and Copilot will build it in an auto-generated tablets and Dataverse for you. So you'd be like, so I do think that's pretty cool that it can give you some suggestions to help stuff like that. So
you
can help build websites quicker.
Yeah.
All right. Power Virtual Agents improvements. Power Virtual Agents are being updated with AI capabilities, including dialogue and action generation. In limited preview, they said, and Azure Conversation Language and Understanding. So, and more cloud on that there. So, sweet. I'm just like that AI there. So I apologize. don't have anything more with that. So, Power Automate improvements. They say that Power Automate gets its own Copilot, a refreshed cloud flow design, a custom actions SDK, work queues, describe it to design it. So it's kind of more. It sounds like more of a lot of these things are more for developers to be like, hey, I need this from here. One thing I did see that they are adding to Microsoft Word is I could say, hey, this is the meeting notes, and you can upload the meeting notes, but then you can tell it, hey, I need you to do a full, bring this into a document or a full display of all the notes I just took to describe certain areas and put bullet points and things, and then you can print it out. So it kind of does that for you. So I thought that was pretty cool on there. So, and then also AI training and documentation for developers. So they talked about adding more things for AI, power of AI, to Microsoft Learn to access new wealth and training of documents for topics like Azure OpenAI, Power Apps AI, AI powered chatbots, Power Visual Agents, GitHub, Copilot, and more. So they're adding more of this stuff to their Microsoft Learn, so you can get in on that as well. They did talk about bringing. I thought this was interesting how they said they're going to bring Edge to ChatGPT more. So basically, right now it's in a preview in a sense still, but they're coming out and saying, hey, it's just going to just take a hold and just become with chat. It would be integrated with it. They didn't give on here. It just says Bing search will soon be integrated with ChatGPT. So as a full thing.
You know what I'm curious to know is how I want to know if the numbers of people using Edge has dropped since they made ChatGPT its own standalone app on iOS.
I don't know, actually.
Because, I mean, you could go to just use ChatGPT without using Bing or Edge or whatnot.
Right.
But I know a lot of people, like the numbers for Edge probably shot up once Bing announced that it was there, you know?
Correct.
So now that they have that as a standalone thing, I wonder if those numbers have gone down. But, I mean, building it, this was always going to be the plan anyways. Like, they've already had it, but having it more included is, it's going to be better. I'm just curious to see if this actually continues to bring more people to using Edge and Bing and stuff like that.
I would like to see the numbers. I know, obviously, Microsoft doesn't say numbers. They say percentages from when they weren't. So everything's going to be a high percentage.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting. I would love to see that number or that data. That would be interesting. Okay. Move here. Like I said before, Microsoft 365 Copilot, they're getting more plugin support for a lot of things with ChatGPT, OpenAI. Like I said, they were talking about a Word document. You can create content with Copilot. So if you have like meeting notes, like I was saying, you can tell it to draft a proposal from yesterday or something. It was in their little image they have talking about it, and it would just draft it up for you. We're going to talk about Teams, Caleb's favorite thing in the world. I guess you can now, they said that in the coming this week, Teams avatars is going to be out of preview for desktop Teams. So you pretty much create avatars for the people you're talking to. But they won't. So what I'm gathering, let me try to say this. So say we were to use Teams and I were to create a avatar for Landon and all the stuff, little things that I would do, it wouldn't affect you. You wouldn't see it and Caleb wouldn't see it, but I would see whatever I put on there. So I could put a background, a little avatar. I could dye your hair if I wanted to, do whatever. But yeah, you can create your own digital version of yourselves.
Is that so? That seems weird to me that you would be able to do something for me that you see, whereas it would make more sense that if I made one for me, then you could see what I made.
Right. Now, I think you can do that. Let me set up and be like, I could share this avatar that I've created. And so, like I said, it was an interesting thing to watch because it was like, look, you can be more immersive by this, but it was like, but you create your own thing. But it's like, oh, I can change it up and actually. So if you have an avatar, I could change it up, but it wouldn't show anything. Like you wouldn't see that I'm changing it or anything.
Right.
But
Seems weird.
they also said it's available not only for PC but the VR headsets. So if you have a VR and do Teams in there, you can do that. So cool. We don't use Teams, and I just wouldn't think to use it. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that like a lot of streamers that do streamers video games, a lot of them, instead of doing themselves, they do these avatars. So the avatars follow their movements, and when they move, the avatars move. So this might be kind of part of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was a lot that came out of Build. And listener, if you are interested in any of this, and I just don't have all the information or stuff to really relay what that is, definitely take a look at Build 2023 on Microsoft's website. They'll give you all the videos they talked about, all the things that were up there that might make more sense. And for each individual thing that they have for developers, like I said, the difference of GitHub and the 365 development and things. But overall, I think this is just kind of Microsoft's response of this is what we're doing with AI into like Google, and I mean, Google's doing their AI, Microsoft's got to come back. And honestly, I think this is kind of their, like we had talked before in the podcast, Google's got to play it safe because this is what they make their money on. But where Microsoft's just like, we're just going to put it in everything.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing. And they're pretty much, Satya Nadella came out and said, this is what we're doing. Everything with AI and Copilot and all this and development. And if you're interested in that, I would suggest take a look at some of that stuff and see what you think. So, because I mean, the stuff seems really cool to me and whatnot, but I'm definitely not in that field.
Yeah.
So it is a little harder for me to talk about it and actually give a good, decent, like, oh, this is what this actually means, or this is what would help. But I know Caleb, he does a lot of stuff with that, so he may have a comment or two about it. But anyway, so that's Build. a lot of AI implementations into everything, and obviously the developments and consumer. So if people do use Teams and things like that, and Word and all the Microsoft 365 stuff, so lots and lots of it. So it's a lot of fun. But like I said, if you want to check it out, I would definitely say check it out there. So, and that's kind of on the Microsoft side of things. That was the big news for this week for Build, for whatnot. I do have a couple extra things. Obviously, I do want to talk about ABK, but I do have some other gaming news, and we'll get into that on the gaming section. So, unless you have something that you wanted to mention or whatnot, Landon, I think we could probably move on.
No, I mean, it does sound like they're doing a lot of interesting things with AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's exciting to see what they do. I'm definitely more curious to see like when they bring more of this AI stuff into Microsoft 365, like into their more consumer side of things, because I mean that's a lot of what Google is doing, and I like what Google has done on that side. So it'll be interesting to see what Microsoft will do when, like, obviously this was a developer conference, so they're going to talk more developer type stuff. And Build has always been more of a developer focus. Not that I/O and WWDC aren't, but Google and Apple have kind of turned their keynotes more into a consumer focused keynote with developer stuff in there, but then they focus on the developer stuff more in their like hands-on or their videos that are for developers, not just for the general public.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely curious to see what Microsoft does on that side of things, because if it's similar to what Google is doing, it's only good things, and using AI the way I want to use it as a tool to help me create different things easier.
Yeah. I think so. And maybe you have a little. Maybe you use AI a little bit more than I do, but I never really, used it. Even when I guess it quote unquotes AI when when Cortana was there, or when people would say the magic word to some device and things like
Right.
that. I never really used it.
I
And
don't use, I never really used Google Assistant all that much. I don't use Siri hardly at all.
yeah,
That was never my thing. But when it comes to like this type of AI usage, I think will
mhm.
be like it's more along the realms of how I would use it.
Right. And I think what I was getting to the point is I never really saw a use for it, but then after actually ChatGPT got into the preview for that and actually started creating images, I could see more capabilities and see more things that it was really cool to mess with. And obviously there have been AI generated content, content, AI generation. What am I trying to say? Other apps that use AI to create images,
Right.
but I never really got into them or anything. But like with this, I thought was really cool and really fun. Sometimes you guys don't see this because obviously we're an audio podcast, but I would during the during the podcast, I would create Chat GPT, go to Bing and actually create avatars for each one of Caleb
It's true.
Landon, and just kind of just type it in just to see what comes up. And it's so amazing to me sometimes to really narrow it down or see where the image goes from to all the images as I add more things or make it better. And it's just fun to try that. And I think that's so cool. And so that's what got me more interested in this AI thing, whatnot. Cause I'm like, yeah, I could see that doing that. And then being able to use that as, like you said, a tool that I could be like, hey, I'm thinking of a website or I'm thinking of this. How can I set this up as a musical website? And then it gives you a suggestion or a layout of something. And I'm like, that is cool. I
That
really
is really
enjoy
cool.
that.
Yeah.
And especially for you, Landon, setting up, giving a website for your Supporter Sound Studios, that
Right.
on there. And I think that would be so cool for you to be like, I don't like how the logo looks here. Can you give me a suggestion? And they give you a bunch and you could be like, actually, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I feel on that. So I don't know. Anything more on AI or anything you want to talk about on there till we move on?
No, I think I really need to look more into what Microsoft announced before I
I
can
know.
give more. I don't know, listener, if I mentioned this already, but I completely forgot the build was this week. It's been a long week for me between work and stuff at home. I didn't have internet for 5 days, so that was fun.
True. True. So, well, and even when I did watch it and trying to pay attention and understand, like, I feel sometimes like I'm just like, that is cool what you're showing me, Microsoft. But I don't know in relation to actually being a developer and seeing that being like, oh, that is awesome because this is easier, or that is awesome because that makes my life easy. Like, I'm assuming basically as something like this, I'm like, I'm believing what the snake charmer is saying. Like, yeah, this will cure that. Okay, $5, but obviously I'll do, do the research. I am going to say this, do the research, take a look, find, because there's always going to be that there, but that's,
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll kind of wrap up the AI talk and build. We'll kind of wrap that up. If you do, like I said, just hop on the website, Microsoft. You can either Bing it or Google it, whichever. If you're looking for Microsoft rewards, go ahead and Bing it. Gets a couple points for that.
Yeah.
Just say Microsoft Build 2023, and there's all sorts of stuff on there. So take a look. All right, let's move on. Landon, you got a few things you want to talk about?
I got a couple things. First thing, one thing of Apple news. Apple announced this past week, speaking of developer conferences, that their WWDC developer conference will be starting on June 5th, going through the 9th. And their keynote will be on that first day, June 5th, at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So we will be keeping an eye on that. And I'm sure Caleb will cover that very thoroughly the next time that we talk. Well, not this upcoming week, but the next week after that when we record.
We'll talk.
So that's it for now. That's all the news that I cared for with on the Apple side of things. Now, some unfortunate news in the general tech sphere. The whole Netflix password sharing debacle is now officially started in the US and I believe other places around the world as well, outside of Canada. So if you are a Netflix user and you aren't the main account holder, you either have to pony up with more money or just stop using Netflix, which is what I think you should do. Just stop using Netflix. Show them that this is a dumb thing because literally every other company still lets you share accounts in one way, shape, or form and don't have to pay per account to add it. It's just you, Netflix. No one likes you. The reason you're losing money is because you're putting out not very good content. Maybe you should work on that rather than trying to screw over your customers. Come on.
Yeah, come on. You know, it's funny. In the midst of all this, like I've been thinking about resubscribing to Netflix just because. So, I'm a weirdo, and like I haven't had Netflix for quite a while. I actually had it 6 months ago for because I had a promotional thing.
Right.
I started watching Nickelodeon shows, the Airbender. That show, but then it went away, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not subscribing. But I've been learning that there's a lot more stuff that I want. But I've been cycling through. The only reason, let's be real, the only reason I have Disney Plus, obviously there's some cool shows on there, but I also have Landon on there.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm like part of the family, Wes.
You have the last name.
Yes, we share a last name, so we can get away with it, right?
Right. So, but like I cycle through depending on what shows I want to watch, so I'll start one. So like obviously I have Hulu and Disney and that ESPN package they have. So I have those. But then it kind of bounces between like Paramount and some others, all depending on what there is, but so maybe Netflix, but I don't share other than obviously with you with Disney, but it's like it doesn't affect me. Yeah. But I can understand how much is it actually to pony up if you password share.
I
and then does it remember. And here's the question, does it tell you, so like if you were to log in, the person that's sharing or the person that's not on the account but has the password, does it actually say, hey, you can't log in until you yourself pay, or does it get a hold of the account manager to upgrade the plan? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I don't know how it works. Like, I haven't seen this come into effect for me yet, but granted, like I said, I didn't have internet for 5 days until today. So when this happened, I haven't been able to log into Netflix since. Like, I haven't tried logging into Netflix since then. So I don't know exactly how it's going to alert the people paying or the like me that is, another account on someone else's thing. So like. Right. It does say it's $8 a month to add an extra member to the account, which is like how much Netflix originally cost in general. So it's so dumb.
Is that weird or what? Like,
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it works over time and how many people like. I don't necessarily think the drop in paying customers will be expansive, but I think the drop in people that are streams they get, like the amount of people viewing things on Netflix will potentially drop because less people are potentially going to be viewing shows on Netflix because they don't have access to it anymore. Unless everyone just ponies up and pays the money, which please don't do that. But
it's interesting. I'm on the website right now. So obviously I still have my login and it's like, oh, welcome back. You need to update and choose your plan.
Right.
And I hopped on here just to see, like, does it have an option to add multiple people or, but it still shows the premium $20 a month. And then I hit next and then it's just pick your service. Yeah, there is no add a person or something. So I don't know if if it goes into effect after someone tries to log in or, yeah, it didn't give me any kind of thing like that. That's interesting.
So I'm reading here that it will send an email so it says users who share their passwords can expect to get an email from Netflix calling them out on this practice and clarifying that they're only entitled to share an account with members of the same physical household. So
the same IP address.
basically, so
That's weird because like
so
if you
dumb.
go down, you're traveling and you're in a hotel room and you want to watch Netflix on your phone, doesn't that just all of a sudden shoot you an email?
Yeah, I don't know. And what if you're using a VPN? Which
that too.
A lot of people,
a
lot of people potentially use VPNs. Not everyone does, but there's a decent amount of people that even use, like, if you have a Google One subscription, you have a free VPN right there.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're using that, how do they know what's your home thing?
Hmm.
That VPN is not one that you can set it up to be like, if you want to get Europe's Netflix stuff, it's not not set up for that, but it is set up to not share your location. So I'm curious to know how exactly they're going to actually implement this in that side of things, because it could get really hazy really quick.
Yeah, let's see. I typed in, I'm just kind of looking here just to see if there's, but it's not giving me direct information for what I want. So I guess we're just going to have to kind of see as this rolls out. I'm sure there's going to be lots of videos and lots of things about it that people are like, why this? Why that? So,
yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some updates. I wonder if they really push this for their gaming side of things, to crack down on that, because it's like,
if that's the case, that wouldn't make any sense to me, because they want to get more people on the gaming side of things, and if this is not going to help that.
True.
I don't know. This seems like a bad move from Netflix, on my opinion on it, and most people's opinion on it. But obviously they don't care.
Well, they're trying. Gosh, I wish I could look at the bright side of it, but I know what they're wanting, but this doesn't seem like the best idea. I don't know.
Is there a bright side to this? I don't see a good side of this. I don't see how this is in any way, shape, or form a good thing, other than to them it makes them more money, potentially.
Right, and I guess, as a business you want to make money, but it's like, I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know. As of right now, I can't think of any thing like, well, if you look at it this way, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because if it was more of a family plan, like, hey, this, like, for example, if I was like, oh, I'm just going to add you to my family plan, Landon,
right,
and then you can sign into whatever device because you're signing into your stuff.
And that makes sense.
But like that I could see, but...
And like companies do have, like Spotify has, like they've got Spotify Premium for an individual, which is a certain amount a month. And then if you have a family plan, which lets you put up to, I think, I don't know how many more, you can put more people on that plan, and it's like $5 more, but it's just $5 more for the whole thing, not $8 per account, which
per IP address. Yeah.
So it doesn't, like, I understand in that sense, do something like that, because other companies do that, and not all of them do. Disney's is just, okay, you get this many accounts can be on this thing, or like even YouTube TV, I can have up to 6 different people share an account, and then they just limit it on how many people can be streaming at the same time, or I can pay a little more and have more streaming more streams can be available at a time. Things like that. But this one, like $8 a month more per account, is just ridiculous.
I don't know. This to me feels like we're just going to Hail Mary this and then pull it back type. Like, that didn't work. Let's pull it back to a sweeter spot. I don't know. Maybe they will come up with a family plan.
The problem I have with, that would be great, but I just don't see, they've never pulled back from anything they've done.
It's true. They haven't.
Everything that has been worse for the consumers has stayed in place at Netflix.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I don't know. I guess stay subscribed or unsubscribe.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I
It's-
think that could make Netflix worse is if Comcast bought them.
Oof. I don't know if they'd want to do that because isn't Netflix privately owned?
I believe Netflix is still its own thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want to do that, but
I'm not saying
who
they
knows?
would, but that would be the one thing that would make Netflix even worse is if Comcast owned them.
yeah, well, I don't think they would because Comcast is NBC, which has Peacock, which has all their other.
I would imagine that, like, you know, the EU and the FTC
they
would
would
be
have
like,
a
no,
fit.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that would not be good. I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. We're in such a, overall, we're just in such a weird place with streaming. I know we've talked about this. It's like
Yeah.
we have all these streaming services, and it used to just be Netflix, and then it was just like that was the name. But now, I don't know. I wish we had more answers and more things to give, but this is one of those things that's just like, okay, if you lose more money, then they're going to pivot. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. That's all of my news for this week.
Okay. Well, listener, you know you weren't going to get away from us talking about Activision Blizzard and the merger with Microsoft, so we'll get this out of the way. We didn't record week before, so wanted to kind of update on everything. So we did talk about where the EU did say that they did say that they approved the deal. We did talk about that, but later in the week they did say that China came out and said they approved the deal as well. So there's a lot of countries that approved the deal. So the only thing that we're waiting on, so there's two things that are happening right now. One is the FTC, which is for American regulators, as well as the deal was full out blocked by the CMA, which is the UK. Microsoft did file a, I was going to say impeachment, but that's not the word.
Appeal.
Thank you. Filed an appeal, and it's supposed to be looked at by, I believe they said, either this Monday, the 29th, or the 30th of Tuesday, when they get together and appeal to the CAT tribunal, I believe is what it's called.
Is that just like a court full of cats?
Right. I think it's like the regulator to the regulators, if I'm not mistaken. So
man, it's weird.
Right, but I think so we'll see what happens with that. The FTC, if I looked it up correctly, they said that their stuff doesn't happen until August, like their dates and stuff for August. So I know that's a long ways away. More stuff.
Jeez.
So I wish I had more news. I wish I could just say, oh, the CMA turned back and now they can close and this and this and this. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of more course things. There's a lot of games and a lot of things that are happening with this. I'm not one side or the other, but that's just kind of what we're looking at. I figured we'll just keep it to where we're looking at dates. We're still going to report on it. We're going to find out more, like I said, this next week with what they say. And so we'll see if this does anything or what other things. I wish I knew more of the UK laws. So I can't really say, oh, this is what they can do or what they can't do, because I don't know the laws of the UK and what they've got. So, but the appeal is there. The date is set for, it's either Monday or Tuesday. And so more information will come out and we'll report on it and we'll go from there. But still, as just like last time we recorded, I don't know where this is going to go because it seems like everyone else is like, yep, everything's good. But yeah, so we'll find out. I know, and I'm sure if you've looked this up, there's so much, I'm going to say, information coming from everywhere about these things. I would just this one might just have to play out. And if you're tired of hearing about it, I'm sorry, but this is going to be everywhere in all sorts of news and things, because this is one of the biggest mergers or acquisitions ever. $69 billion. So it's just going to happen. But yeah. So let's move on, shall we? PlayStation. Good old Sony. They actually had a showcase. Showcased a lot of games, a lot of different things. They actually talked about the first thing I actually want to kind of bring to the table. I was kind of hoping to see Spenlove, see what he thought about this, but I'm sure he'll hear this and give his thoughts on it. So, in the showcase, Sony actually announced an 8-inch portable gaming device that they were going to have. Now, if you're thinking this is like a Steam Deck or something cool like a Nintendo DS, that is not what this is. This is a Wi-Fi streaming device. So you have to have a PlayStation 5 and the Wi-Fi connected to this. So basically what this is a screen that your PlayStation can stream to.
So this is basically turning your PlayStation into a Nintendo Switch dock, and this little screen is now your TV.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible thing.
So basically, you're streaming your games from your PlayStation 5 to the screen. The screen on the side, it's interesting because it looks like they literally sawed in half a PlayStation controller and glued to the sides of an 8-inch screen.
So this is what happens when Sony tries to make a Switch. But it's not a Switch. It's not the console. It's a...
No.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So, the screen capability is a 1080p resolution at 60 frames. So, I mean, with a screen that size, yep.
That's fine.
That's fine. All the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller are there. The adaptive triggers, the haptic feedbacks, all the stuff is going to be there. There is no cloud streaming to this. You have to have the game installed on your PS5 to stream from your PS5 to this device. So it's not a cloud streaming thing. So,
this is
they
such...
did not give a price.
Oh.
It will be announced, and so okay. So obviously, this is not for someone like me. This is not obviously something for Landon here. I wouldn't think this would be something for Caleb either.
Well, so the only reason why anybody would want to buy this is if they only have one TV in their house,
mm-hmm.
and somebody else wants to do something on the television besides watch you play a game.
Yes.
So,
yes.
What PlayStation has done here is they made the Wii U.
You know what? There's so many people I've heard that said that they call it the PU. This is the PlayStation U. I'm sorry. I usually try to keep things kind of not as one-sided on this, but I'm trying really hard. Okay.
No.
On this.
This one, as the person that has no stake in this whatsoever, I'm not on either camp because I don't care. This is a stupid idea. Now, if they were to make this and it were actually more similar to what the Switch is or the Steam Deck, where you can take this and play your PS games anywhere, that's a great idea. That's a really good idea. Like, you take this, you can play your games anywhere when you're not at home. But you have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi, and your game has to be downloaded on your PlayStation. That is like, welcome to 2010. Seriously, this is so dumb.
I mean, okay, so that's the only thing I can think of is someone that only has one screen, just like you said. Maybe they just want to lay in bed and play their game that doesn't have a screen in their room. But maybe this is their first attempt at a handheld. For coming back to this, because I don't know.
They had like the PSP and like they've had handheld devices,
PSP,
and they've been good. So I don't get this. This makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, So with my gaming setup, what I do, it's hard for me to even look at this and be like, cool. But like I said, this isn't for me.
Right.
This isn't, and obviously this isn't a lot for some people, but some people might see this and be like, yeah, that's actually something really cool that I want. I want to play PlayStation 5 on the toilet, and I can now. I don't know. But sorry, I am kind of being very jokey, but anyway, so they announced this, and it's coming. They said it's coming later this year, but they wanted to make sure everyone could see what it is. So if you want to take a look at the pictures, Landon, like, have you seen? Did you look at
I
it?
have not.
It really
seen
looks
this.
like they took a PlayStation 5 controller, split it in half, and glued it to the side of this 8-inch screen. Probably better, but yeah. And then they're calling it the PU. I mean, Project Q. That's
Oh, that okay. I'm looking at a picture of this thing, and yeah, that is wow.
that's what they announced.
That's something.
Yep.
Huh.
It's something. Now, to be fair, they also announced the PlayStation Earbuds.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, did you see that? I figured I'd say that now because you're probably looking at it. But so cool. They did announce this is coming. To be fair, I mean, people are usually using headsets anyway, and if maybe you like earbuds better than headsets, you can do this. The what they're saying is the earbuds actually connect directly to the PlayStation and not to the controller.
That's a good thing.
So cool. I mean, because I own a Xbox headset that connects. It's a wireless headset that connects to the Xbox itself, not the controller. So I feel like it's pretty close to the same thing, just buds versus headphones. So cool. More options. And if you want some buds, there you go.
So okay, I
What?
I have thoughts. So many thoughts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, going to the earbuds. I get the idea. Some people like earbuds better than headsets. That's fine. But generally, that's not your gamers in most scenarios. And also, earbuds doesn't matter what brand of earbud you're using. Notoriously, as an audio guy, do not have great microphones. They're good enough for phone calls. Even like I've got the AirPods Pro. I have connected with you and Caleb the way
True,
we
you
do
did.
with my AirPods, and they did not sound great. They were serviceable, but I would not want to use them for recording a podcast. I would not want to use them for gaming with somebody because the quality of the audio is just going to go down a significant amount by not having a microphone that folds down to be right in front of your face. So that's going to be the biggest thing with these, if you're just buying them just to have PlayStation branded earbuds as your, go-to earbuds for listening to music or podcasts or whatever on the go, that's fine. I don't understand it. Sony has other really good headphones for that you should probably buy before these, but you do you. You can buy PlayStation branded ones, whatever. But that's the only reason I would maybe, again, I don't know how the audio quality on these is going to be for that. I would imagine they're probably decent because again, it is Sony. They make good earbuds and headphones, but I just can't imagine that the microphones are going to be anything better than what's already out there in this market. So, I mean, the only benefit here is that they connect directly to the PlayStation, which is probably just Bluetooth. So it's not like it's even that much better than other things anyway. So it's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And also going back to that little handheld thing, this article I'm reading says it's already possible to stream PS5 games to a PC, a Mac, iOS, and Android.
Yes.
So you've already got your handheld gaming that you can connect your regular controller to those devices.
Yep.
So I even more so don't understand what this thing is for.
It's hard. It really is to really, without making fun of it or, like the jokes we've been cracking, it's hard to be like, okay, who is this for? Because
Yeah.
and here's the thing, like something like that has a controller and the screen, it's like, okay, what's this priced at? Because I mean, you get anywhere if it's just a cloud machine, like you get any more over $100. Like I don't know. It was like that Logitech thing that came out for Microsoft. What was it, like $250? That was just a cloud streaming thing,
Yeah.
and I mean, you, I don't know, you know, uh, that price. I don't know. That's a hard one. But hey, if this is for you, take a look at that showcase. If you haven't seen it yet, they had announced actually quite a bit of games, some interesting things. Obviously, some expansions to games. They did the big thing that people were looking for is that new Spider-Man game coming out with Miles and Spider-Man. I won't say who the villain is, I guess, if you want to be surprised, but it actually looks pretty cool, kind of fun. So take a look at that. They did announce Bungie. I thought was really interesting. They, if you don't know the history of Bungie, I'll give you a quick history. Bungie created a lot of games for Mac, for Macintosh back in the day. They created a game called Marathon. People loved it. It was kind of a first-person shooter. Then they were creating Halo. Microsoft decided to buy Bungie and put Halo on the Xbox. And then they created a bunch of games for Microsoft. Then they went independent and then bought by, I don't remember if they were bought by Activision. Maybe they were. But they created Destiny and then Destiny 2, and then they broke off from Activision and then still had Destiny 2, and then they were bought by PlayStation. And to continue playing Destiny. But the new game that they're coming out with is Marathon that they talked about, which is it seems like it's a service game, but I guess it's got a lot of their DNA from when they created the Marathon game back in the Mac. So a lot of people, for nostalgia reasons, are excited for that. So I never played Marathon, so I don't know, but cool. An old IP, resurrecting an IP for something like that. They did that. They did a bunch of games that are coming out. A lot of them were actually not PlayStation exclusive games. A lot of them were actually coming out for both Xbox and Switch, but they showcased them. So if you're a PlayStation fan, actually really any fan, gaming, these are going to be all the games that are coming out. So if you want to take a look at any of those games, I mean, so that's new Street Fighter's coming out. They had a little showcase of that. They talked about, but I think the main things was, I think Spider-Man was the big one that everyone was waiting for the exclusive showstopper. So yeah, I wonder if Caleb will have anything to say about that. So we'll see.
I'm genuinely curious on his thoughts on that handheld because, man.
That's why I said I'm curious why. I want to know his thoughts on this because even I'm like, So Spend Love, we'll have to make sure you listen. So on that. Actually, I don't think we mentioned that Spend Love, because, of his condition, he was actually going to make a YouTube video with all his stuff that he wanted to talk about this week. So he did say he'll try and get that up this week. So
yeah, so keep an eye on the YouTube channel for that.
Yes. So we talked about the ABK, and then we talked about Sony and all their stuff. They did also. I will give this. They did talk about their VR2, and talked about the games that are coming. The big rumor was that they were going to get that Half-Life Alyx, that was the VR, but it actually didn't look like they did. So I was like, oh. But they got all the other games like Resident Evil and things on that, and they've been hyping up the VR headsets, so that's on there. I guess I should have said this with the Microsoft Activision stuff, but there was the deals with NVIDIA, the cloud gaming deals with NVIDIA and Boosteroid we had talked about. Microsoft has actually gone ahead and put its own PC games to these companies, so with NVIDIA. So you can now play like Gears of War and Forza on NVIDIA and Boosteroid. They said on Boosteroid a lot of the games should be hitting around June 1st. So Boost on there. So looks like they're just fulfilling these contracts even when they don't have ABK. So sweet. So I did have those. I think that's pretty much it for the gaming for this week. There's going to be a lot of announcements. I think so. I did want to mention, if you are wanting to get our thoughts on a lot of the gaming and things, I figured we'd go ahead and let you know. So Microsoft, we decided, so as previously stated, with WWDC going on the 5th of June, that following Sunday, we're probably going to be talking, that's going to be our WWDC episode, talking about all things Apple and everything that's coming within that week. On Sunday, that Sunday the 11th that we will record, yes, Microsoft will have their gaming keynote, but usually everyone else later in the week will have more gaming information on that week. So we will talk about that on the 18th. That Sunday on the 18th is when we'll record that and have our thoughts for all the gaming stuff. So that way our episodes aren't like 4 to 6 hours long.
Yeah.
So figured we'd kind of update you on that. So we'll have that, all of our thoughts. But yeah, this is the time of E3, even though E3 doesn't exist anymore, and I don't know what else to call it. I don't know, Summer of Games, something. But yeah, it's going to be, from what I'm hearing and the rumors and all the stuff that I'm hearing on all fronts for games, whether Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, mobile games. Netflix, I have no idea. I'm assuming they're going to be somewhere and they're going to reveal even more because this is the time.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of information that's coming. So we'll definitely try and keep track of the things on there and try and report and do what we can. So Landon, I think we're coming to the end of this episode unless you have one more thing for everybody.
Nope, I don't. Not this week.
Not this week. All righty. Well, dear listener, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate everything that being with us. We've been doing this for, my goodness, seems like 6 years? What are we on? 6 years now?
6.5 years. We're almost to 7.
Almost 7. It's crazy. Whether you're just joining us or you've been with us the entire time, just want to say thank you. We appreciate it. We're just a bunch of guys that just like talking tech and giving crap to each other, especially when they're gone. So, yes. But if you do want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us on our social media platforms, callingonplatforms.com. You can also hop on our YouTube channel. There should be an updated video on that with Caleb. He's going to be talking about the things he wanted to talk about for the past couple weeks. Just kind of, I'm sure he's got some rants and some things he wants to talk about. And then hopefully he'll have some thoughts on that, or we'll just have to text him and be like, hey, what's your thoughts on this? And so he can put it in the video. So you can take a look at that. If you want to hop onto our Patreon, show some support to Landon for dealing with us yoo-hoos and putting everything together to make the podcast sound as crisp and clean as possible. That guy needs a lot of support for that because, man, dealing with me, just telling you.
It's a fun one.
It's a fun one. All right, dear listener, have a good week.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.